Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and today I bring you another top 5, and for this week I give you my top 5 list of my personal favorite and greatest moments of the Flash in his comic book run. Nonetheless, I'm a pretty big fan of Flash. He's definitely one of my favorite superheroes in the DCU, and of course, the main reason as to why I'm doing this top 5 in and of itself is because the Flash has finally come back on TV, and why not just celebrate that with another top 5? I mean, the Flash TV show is probably the greatest thing to ever happen to comic book TV since, I guess, the first few seasons of Smallville, if you will. But nevertheless, let's get right down to this top 5. I did this kind of the same thing for Green Arrow and Spider-Man, so why not do the Flash top 5 moments in his comic book run. Now, for the specific top 5, I'll only be picking specific comic book moments that I personally love and appreciated and that I really liked and enjoyed reading and watching, and obviously everybody has their own particular moment where that was the definitive moment in this specific character's comic book run. So that's why in the comments section below, leave me your top 5 Flash moments, and I'll give you mine. And of course, all of this is subjective, as all my top 5s are. They're subjective, they're my personal thoughts, they're my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it, that's why there's a comment section below, so you can leave me your top 5. Nevertheless, let's get right down to this top 5. Starting up at number 5 on my list has to go to Flash joining the ranks of the Blue Lantern Corps and Blackest Night. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Green Lantern and the whole Lantern Corps, history and mythology. But if there's one thing I really love most than anything, has to be when a character from the DCU gets a lantern ring and uses it. I liked it when Batman did it, and I love it when the Flash did. The Flash, of course, has a specific significant role in Blackest Night, which is majority is pretty much a Green Lantern / DC crossover comic book series, miniseries, and in that series, in storyline, the Flash joins and has proven himself worthy enough to becoming a part of the Blue Lantern Corps, and there's nothing cooler than having a Blue Lantern Corps colored Flash fucking kicking ass, going at super speeds, and creating constructs with the Lantern Ring. There's nothing cooler than that. I mean, I'm just saying, when you combine two of the coolest powers and combine them, that's just awesome. You have the fucking Flash's Speed Force, which is, great in and of itself, and then you have the Lantern power, which is also fucking awesome, and when you combine it, there's nothing better than that, and that's why it's on my top 5 not Green Arrow, the Flash moments. Personally, I really like it. It's not really a definitive storyline arc, but it's just a great moment that a fanboy like me really enjoys, and I just really like the design of how Barry Allen, or the Flash, looks just in general with the new colors and Lantern Corps symbol. It's just fucking badass. And of course that ring just looks beast. Nonetheless, moving off of that, going into number 4 on my list has to go to Showcase number 4, the introduction of the Silver Age Flash. Of course, up until that point, Golden Age Flash was the complete opposite of what we significantly see the Flash to be. And it wasn't until when they reintroduced him and started the Silver Age of DC Comics where they gave us the true Crimson Speedster, which is, of course, the Flash. Barry Allen's the Flash. And ever since then, pretty much every single iteration of the Flash has pretty much kept that same color scheme and basic design. I mean, there are a few, variations. Of course, you have the Kid Flash, you have Bart Allen, and you have his Impulse, costume, and of course all the other various Flash Elseworlds kind of costumes and what have you. But basically, they've never really messed with the initial design created in the Silver Age, which is personally my favorite. And you know what? There's no better way to put another. What's greater moment than introducing the newest version of a character? Don't get me wrong. I love Jay Garrick. He's obviously the first Flash, and he's also a pretty badass character. And I like his design too. But nothing beats the Silver Age of DC comic books when they gave us the true versions of not only the Flash but Green Lantern and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, moving off of that, going to number 3 on my list has to go to when Barry Allen sacrifices his life in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Crisis on Infinite Earths is a badass comic book series where, of course, basically the title says it all. You know, the DCU, the multiple universes in the DCU collide and are destroyed, and all crazy nonsense happens and what have you. And I actually have various issues in that specific comic book line. And in it, at the end, the Flash sacrifices himself and saves pretty much the DCU. And after that, was actually dead for, practically 2 decades. Which is kind of crazy. And of course, donning a new speedster, which is of course Wally West, which is everybody's class favorite, which is another great moment in Flash's history. But nevertheless, there's no better moment, kind of similar to the introduction of his character, but there's also no other greater moment when a character really proves himself to be a superhero and sacrifices himself for the people he loves. There's nothing better and more defining than a hero's character than that. And of course, Crisis on Infinite Earths is just a badass storyline, in and of itself, if you have not read it or seen it at all. Anyways, moving off of that, going to number 2 on my list, has to go to... This was really hard. I mean, like, the 2 next spots were very difficult. I had to move them around and flip-flop through each one of them. But at the end of the day, I have to give it up to Flash Rebirth. Flash Rebirth is definitely going to go down in history as, like, the Dark Knight Returns of the Flash. And it's just a great defining moment. I mean, like, if you're a fan of the Flash, the CW TV series, then you're going to love Flash Rebirth, because it's practically the same storyline, except you throw in other characters like Wally West and the whole, the scientific studies of the Speed Force and all various other crazy characters. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I don't want to go to too much detail into Rebirth, but basically, as the title indicates, it's of course the rebirth of the Silver Age Flash, which is of course Barry Allen, into today's central society in today's new mantle, which is Wally West, and various other storylines. You have, Reverse Flash going in there doing his thing. There's a whole bunch of crazy awesome stuff that happens in the Flash Rebirth, and it's a great storyline, and possibly the definitive Flash storyline. Definitely check it out. I don't want to spoil it. Just check it out. If you love the TV show and you want to understand more about it, you read Rebirth. It's definitely the story for you. Anyways, moving off of that, I'm going to skip the honorable mentions right now because there's just so many other Flash storylines that are, getting mixed in my head, and I don't want to, flub up, if you will, with all the, histories and, titles and whatnot. But anyways, moving off the honorable mentions, let's get right down into number 1 on my list. And this was very difficult because Rebirth, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would consider number 1 in comparison to this next one. But of course, there's so many awesome stuff that happens in this specific storyline, which I had to just put out. It's, of course, number 1 goes to Flashpoint. Flashpoint is an amazing storyline. It's definitely one of the best Flash storylines next to Rebirth. And of course, if you don't know what Flashpoint it basically is, it's essentially a storyline where Flash discovers that his entire timeline has been warped and destroyed. Everything that he remembers is completely gone. Everything has changed. His mother's alive. His father's dead. The Justice League doesn't exist. All the various characters are different and at war. It's a world without superheroes. Everything's gone to shit. And of course, the Reverse Flash has a lot to do with it and is the main reason as to why Barry can't really use his power and why everything has gone to shit. And of course, at the end, Flash has to save the day by getting back the Speed Force and just defeating Reverse Flash, setting everything straight, and of course, not only saving the day, but on top of all this greatness, has to recreate the DCU in and of itself. And of course, this storyline was a prelude to the new continuity, which is of course New 52. So that's really awesome in and of itself. It's a great storyline. I don't want to spoil it too much as I did already. But of course, I'm pretty sure if anybody saw the animated feature Flashpoint Paradox, which was based off this storyline, then you also understand the gist of what the story is. But definitely read the comic book. It's fucking awesome. And of course has my fucking favorite ending and possibly another Batman definitive moment where Barry actually goes back in time after saving the day and changing what the Reverse Flash fucked up, and essentially gives Bruce Wayne, Batman, spoilers, gives him a letter from his father, and Batman actually, after reading it, begins to cry after reading what his father wrote to him, which is just awesome. Because for those of you who don't know, spoilers, Batman in a Flashpoint universe is actually Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father. Of course, if you didn't know that, but essentially, before he goes back in time, Thomas Wayne gives him a letter to give to Bruce, and after Bruce reads it, he actually is very touched by his father's letter and starts crying about it. And I just, like, as much as I like Batman always being a badass and never showing that much emotion, I always love it when he does. And I just love that moment where they have this moment where they don't really talk and they don't ever see each other, but Thomas Wayne basically tells him how proud he is of Bruce for becoming the Batman and for saving people's lives and being the hero that he knew he could always be. And I just love that kind of moment. And of course, in that moment could have logically happened if it wasn't for the Flash. So I give it up. Kudos to the Flash. But nevertheless, that's been my top 5 greatest moments, my personal favorite moments in the Flash's comic book history. Of course, everybody has their own various reasoning. Lots of people love the Justice Society, Jay Garrick stuff. Other people love Wally West stuff, which I do too. And of course, people like the Bart Allen storylines and stuff. But these are just my personal faves, and it's my subjective list. If you don't agree with any of it, please let me know in the comment section below. What is your top 5 Flash moments? Also, if you are excited for the Flash, let me know what you personally think is going to happen for the rest of the season. I'll definitely be doing more Flash-orientated top 5s when we get closer to the end of the Flash, which will inevitably be soon, unfortunately. And the Flash is just killing it lately, and I just hope, if you've not read any of these specific storylines that I named out, which would be Showcase number 4, Blackest Night, Flashpoint, and Flash Rebirth, and Crisis on Infinite Earths. Definitely read all those titles. They're all awesome storylines. Definitely check it out. It's definitely epic DC universe at its greatest. And it's just awesome. Check it out. Comment below. Let me know what you personally thought. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Been John 12.